South Africa, 1976. A nation violently divided by law, where the color of your skin dictated where you could walk, where you could live, and where you could breathe. Every daily move was monitored, every black citizen stripped of dignity, forced to carry a domestic passport, the hated Dompas, under the constant threat of immediate arrest. State terror was not a threat, it was a daily reality. The apartheid regime ruled through fear, enforcing its chokehold with heavy boots and vicious attack dogs. But by mid-1976, the oppression had reached a boiling point, and the spark was about to come from the youth. This was Soweto, the southwestern townships, a sprawling, segregated complex on the outskirts of Johannesburg, constructed by the regime to keep black workers close enough to serve white industries, but far enough to remain invisible. A city built on dust and coal smoke, families packed into identical matchbox houses with no electricity, no running water, and no escape from the watchful eye of the state. Even within their own community, there was no peace. Survival meant producing a piece of paper on demand. To be black in Soweto was to be treated as a foreigner in the land of your birth. But the regime wanted more than physical control. They wanted to control the minds of the next generation. In the air-conditioned offices of Pretoria, the Department of Bantu Education plotted a new trap. The philosophy was clear. Black children were only to be educated enough to become manual laborers. As the architects of apartheid openly declared, there was no place for Africans in the white community above the level of certain forms of labor. Then came the breaking point, the Afrikaans Medium Decree of 1974, a ruthless law forcing black students to learn core subjects like mathematics and social sciences in Afrikaans, the very language of their oppressors. Classrooms were already bursting at the seams, lacking basic textbooks and qualified teachers. Now, children who struggled to speak the language were expected to pass exams in it. It was a deliberate plan designed to make them fail. But the regime underestimated the youth. In the shadows, away from the eyes of school principals and police informants, student leaders quietly gathered. They refused to be silent. They began to plan a response that would shake the world. The morning of June 16, 1976. The winter air was freezing, but the streets of Soweto were on fire with purpose. Thousands of school children, some as young as 8 years old, stepped out of their classrooms and into history. They carried homemade cardboard signs scrawled with charcoal and paint. Down with Afrikaans. Bantu education is a sin. It was a peaceful march, a vibrant sea of school uniforms moving with absolute courage. They sang freedom songs and raised their fists. They were not looking for war. They were simply demanding a future, a right to learn in a language they understood. By mid-morning, the crowd had swollen to over 10,000 students. A unified wall of youth marching toward Orlando Stadium, completely unaware of the trap waiting for them just around the corner. Then, the march came to a sudden halt. Blocking the road ahead were the iron walls of apartheid, heavy hippo-armored vehicles, and a solid line of police officers. On one side, children armed only with schoolbooks and cardboard signs. On the other side, paramilitary forces armed with automatic rifles, live ammunition, and tear gas. A terrifying standstill under the cold morning sun. Without warning, a police officer threw a tear gas canister into the crowd. Panic exploded. Vicious police dogs were unleashed into the mass of children. The air filled with choking white smoke, screams, and the terrifying sound of the first live gunshots. The smoke of tear gas gave way to the smoke of a township in open rebellion. Soweto burned with rage. Children who had started the morning with school books ended the day carrying the lifeless bodies of their classmates. But out of the grief, an unbreakable defiance emerged. Raised fists cut through the smoke, signaling to the regime that the youth of South Africa would never be forced into submission again. The apartheid regime tried to hide its brutality behind a curtain of censorship, but the truth could not be buried. Headline by headline, the reality of what happened in the streets of Soweto breached the government's wall of silence. The narrative of a peaceful, orderly state was shattered forever. Images of dead and bleeding children flashed across television screens and newspapers globally. The world could no longer look away. June 16, 1976, ceased to be just a local school protest. It became a global symbol of the cruelty of apartheid, marking the definitive beginning of the end for the regime. What was once a scene of bleeding chaos in the dusty streets of Orlando West is now cast in bronze. Outside the Hector Peterson Museum, a permanent monument stands. Frozen in time, Mbuyisa Makubo carries the dying 12-year-old Hector Peterson, running alongside his weeping sister, Antoinette. It is no longer just a photograph. It is a sacred shrine of remembrance, a monument to the ultimate sacrifice. Mbuyisa Makubo would later be hunted by the apartheid police for his heroic act, eventually fleeing into an exile from which he would never return. This bronze tribute honors not only those who fell under the bullets of the regime, but those whose entire lives were uprooted to ensure the truth could be told. Five decades later, the atmosphere in Soweto is completely transformed. In the year 2026, South Africa marks 50 years since that fateful winter morning. The same streets that once choked on tear gas and echoed with gunshots are now alive with color, music, and the beautiful, unburdened laughter of a free generation. They gather not just to mourn the past, but to celebrate the victory won by children just like them. June 16th is no longer a day of state terror. It is National Youth Day, a national holiday where a democratic South Africa pauses to honor the revolutionary power of young voices that refused to be silenced. The architects of apartheid failed. The youth of 1976 broke the chains of Bantu education, paving the way for a nation where every child can learn, dream, and speak in the language of their own choosing. The torch has been passed. And as the sun sets over a free Soweto, the legacy of June 16th lives on, forever written into the DNA of a liberated nation.